Hey, 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 it's a new day. Yep. So, I'm going to invite some people. Oh, it's so hard to do on my phone. And then if you jump in, please invite some people and share the video. I didn't know what I was going to talk about this morning till probably a few minutes ago, and it's when I ran into this article that I thought I would do it. Plus, I have other stuff going on in my life that kind of pertains to this right now. So I wanted to go ahead and do that. So I have a meeting with somebody today that's kind of challenging, and old me would and I'm still struggling with some stuff where narcissists kind of are involved, and part of it is that I still get really wound up and angry, and my heart races when when people I think should understand what I'm trying to say don't quite get it and don't agree with me. Good morning, Laura. I don't know why that is. I don't know why I let myself get all upset when inside of my head I really understand sort of that the approach I'm going to start taking towards narcissistic people is they don't really get it. I don't think that they I think it's the way that they're wired. I think it's the way that they've always been able to get what they wanted from other people was by being this narcissist. And because I was raised by the quintessential narcissist, my dad is and was the biggest narcissist I knew. Leos. No offense, you Leos out there, but narcissists come in Leo form big time. Another sign for a narcissist is a Virgos. Virgos are very narcissistic, and I guess everybody can be. A healthy dose of narcissism is kind of good because you need to have a self-protection mode too. But you have to not be trying to manipulate people to get what you want. And it's also sort of a defense mechanism. The narcissist is a defense mechanism because they are trying to protect themselves from themselves. They don't want to see things about themselves that are truly who they are, because I think they think that it's an ugly thing, what's inside of them. And really, like we've talked about before in going through the 12 steps that I'm going through, trying to change how I am and how I present myself to the world, it's never nearly as bad when you vocalize what's going on inside of you. You say the words out loud, the things that you hadn't said out loud before, and when it comes out of your mouth, it's never like it was in your head. You know what I mean? So I think that when I have to deal with a narcissist, I need to remember that this person is really fucking wounded, and that they're not healthy, and they are deflecting how they feel by manipulating the people around them to get them to do what they want them to do so that they will feel better. And I think that when they can control another person or feel like they've gotten the upper hand with another person, that they feel like that they're not such a bad person, like they don't have to look at that ick inside of themselves. Laura says, breathe and let it go. We have no control over others. When you give in to them by getting upset, they're controlling you. And that's exactly true, Laura. And then that's the thing that I'm trying to really work through. You know, when you've done something for 57 years one way and you're working on changing something, it takes a minute to do that. So when I had to deal with somebody this morning, and right away my heart started beating, and it was beating so fast because I was so like caught up in what was happening. And what happens when that goes down is you ultimately can't even make right decisions, or your content that you're giving back in the exchange with the person is not quality content. It's fight or flight response. It's completely based on the cortisol flooding your brain at that moment in time. And so it needs to be approached differently. And then as that was all happening and I was freaking out about what was going on, this thing from Higher Perspectives came out about 6 obvious signs that you're dealing with a narcissist. And what they said was, You'll never get the truth out of a narcissist. The closest you will ever come is a story that either makes them the victim or the hero, but never the villain. And right away that happened in the first part of the conversation. So the first thing that they said, and what I really need to try to keep in mind, and why I'm even doing this with you guys this morning, is to remind myself when I do have the encounter with somebody else another time, or if I end up talking to this person again today, which probably will ultimately happen, I need to keep things in my head to remember. And in fact, I'm going to keep this article up so that I can remember it as well. The first thing that they said is that, narcissists will always use other people to their advantage. They take advantage of everybody for whatever they need. And a narcissist isn't necessarily a very successful person. And sometimes they're very successful, and sometimes they're very smart. In fact, I think all narcissists are extremely intelligent people. And if you were to look at them and do a what do they call it when you test an IQ test on somebody, they probably test out either very, very high or so high that they would be considered a genius. You know what I mean? So they inherently know, and they've done it for so long, most of them, that they, even as little kids, have really learned how to perfect the technique of getting people to do what they want them to do. So they know exactly how to use people to get what they want, no matter what that is. And they aren't going to let anybody stop them from getting what they want. They're inventive. They will manipulate you. They'll manipulate your friends. They're very gregarious. So when they get into your life and they use their charm and their wit and their smarts to actually get into your life, and then they become friends with all of your friends. So when you finally go, wait a minute, this is not healthy, and you start to distance yourself from them, they'll generally go after your friends and make you look like you're the one that needs help, that you're crazy. There's no way no other way to avoid this kind of behavior, because they do it literally to everyone that wants to communicate with them. So even when you're trying to communicate with a narcissist, the whole goal of the narcissist is for them to control and manipulate the outcome of whatever it is, especially if you're trying to show them that they've done something wrong. They're not going to get it. They're going to turn it around and make it be all about you and not about anybody else. Casey, if you want to come on, we can talk about this. I'm perfectly fine with that. They always want you to praise them. They don't want to never hear anything about what they did that was wrong. They don't want to hear anything about maybe their judgments about other people and situations that might be wrong, because they can't be wrong. They're not wrong. They haven't ever done anything wrong in their entire fucking life. You know what I mean? Bad shit always happens to them. They're a victim of bad things and bad people that they didn't recognize that they were bad when they got into the situation, but they never did anything to make the person react the way they did. They can't even fathom that happened. And again, like I say, I think that's really a defense mechanism. And I guess the Kundalini yoga has really made me start to go, this is a wounded person across from me. And so they're protecting themselves with their narcissism. Laura says, narcissists learn at an early age, and it's a self-protective that's what I think. That's exactly what I think. I think it's like, I don't have to look at what I have done to anyone. Not even to myself. I'm a victim of drugs. I'm a victim of alcohol. I'm a victim of bad relationships. Maybe I'm a narcissist. I don't know. I'm sure that as I go through this Kundalini process, I'll have that revealed to me. And Jesus Christ, if I have done that to any of you guys, I want you to call me out on that stuff, because I'm not trying to do that. I really am trying to better myself as a human, spiritually, mentally, and physically. That's the whole point of Evolve. So if there's even one person who defies this praise, they will act out in a temper tantrum to the likes that no one has ever seen before. You may think this is an exaggeration, but I promise you it's not. Narcissists thrive off of attention, which is one of the reasons why they keep you and everyone around for so long, because they need validation, because they never got it before, because they didn't think they were worthy of it before, because they need, hi Karen, because they need people to make them feel better about themselves, because they don't feel better about themselves. They can't find it inside of themselves to say that my opinions and how I feel on any particular subject is worthwhile, unless somebody looks at me and tells me, yes, you did all this right. You're so good. We love you. everything you do is gold and it's just the way that it is. And honestly, it's very sad to think that you've arrived, or maybe don't even know that you haven't arrived, is probably the better way, because I really think they don't know what the fuck they're doing. I just think they don't get it. They're extremely arrogant with everything. Narcissists are prone to being arrogant when you're trying to confront them on things that are hurting those around them. So I know people that will tell you, oh, right on, Gacy, I'm so glad you feel better. So they can't fathom that they've hurt anybody. It's you. It's you and your stupid feelings that make you think that I'm wrong or that I've hurt you. I have dealt with narcissists who think that they're not racist. I have dealt with narcissists who think that they're not sexist. I have dealt with narcissists who think that they are progressive, and they're not. And when you call them out, and what's really kind of funny about that whole situation is they'll tell you that if a black person or a female or another marginalized person looks at you and says, hey, what you just did or said was racist, sexist, homophobic, whatever it is, they'll tell you when they see that in the abstract, not somebody that they're close to, not, you can't look at them and tell them those things, but in the abstract, if a person is a narcissist and they're going to tell you how they're not those things, they don't have any of that xenophobia in them, that we should defer to the marginalized person as the truth on the matter that you're talking about. So if a black person says to you, you've treated me racist, the narcissist, if it's abstract, they're not friends with that person, it's not being directed at them as being the racist, will tell you we need to defer to that black person as the authority on what it is like to be treated as a racist. But if you look at the narcissist as a black person and you say to them, you just treated me like a racist would treat me, they would go, no, you misunderstood exactly what I said, and not accept that as what they've done. And that's just kind of, again, protection, whatever. Laura says, sweetie, a narcissist would never say what you just proclaimed about bettering yourself. They believe that they are better than others. Well, thank you, because that's freaking me out, because I didn't want to be a narcissist. So thanks. Casey says narcissists definitely live in a distorted reality. And Karen says, do you really want to call out a narcissist? Is that effective at all? It's probably not effective. But I haven't arrived. I haven't arrived at that place yet where I can just let a lot of shit slide. I mean, I let a lot more shit slide now than I did before, but there's still stuff that grates on me. And I feel like if I don't let that stuff out, maybe you guys can tell me how to handle that. If I don't express to the narcissist or to someone who's hurt me or whatever, if I have an encounter with that person, I'm going to feel like I have to say something, because if I don't say it, I'm going to explode. And I don't want to explode on somebody else or do something harmful to myself by eating poorly, drinking too much, because usually, and I don't usually eat poorly, but the thing that my go-to is to like fucking swill back a whole bunch of alcohol and get shit-faced drunk so I don't have to deal with the pain of the narcissist or the person who was sexist or whatever it is. That's what I do. So I don't know. They will consider it a personal attack if you tell them what they're doing or you're doubting them. And they'll tell you that you don't support them or their ideas and that you're the worst person on the planet. And you might think it's an exaggeration, but that's truly how a narcissist feels. And they will fuck you in the end, and the people will always prove to be toxic in the end. They will always be toxic. Laura says it's effective because you're standing for yourself. And well, see, and that's sort of what I think. I think that maybe what you need to do is say what you need to say and then move on. With one particular narcissist that I dealt with a few years ago, it's been 2 now, and probably about 8 a year into us not speaking to each other, I got really drunk. It's always a mistake. And then drunk texted this person, and then the next day we had a conversation, and exactly what's being said in this article came out, and she was not receptive to it at all, turned everything around on me, told me how shitty of a friend I was, told me that I fucked up her safety by being the person that I was, and made her never trust, made her unable to trust women ever again because I had wounded her so badly. When in reality, it was not the case at all, and it's kind of, but when I got to say what I needed to say, when we ended the conversation, I was like, okay, and I was good, and I haven't really, I think about her occasionally, but not like, oh gosh, I really wish we could hang out again. I think about her and think, God, maybe I dodged a bullet with that one, and I hope that she will be okay, because I'm really worried about her physically with other shit that she pulls in her life. You know what I mean? So it's not just narcissism. There's other shit going on there too. Obviously jealous. Narcissists are obviously jealous, and they don't hesitate letting you know how jealous they are, especially about stuff and things that you have that they don't. They're most envious whenever they see someone who's essentially better than they are, and will act out in every single possible way to deprive that person of praise or attention. And holy shit snacks, did I see that with two particular people in the last few months. There's no doubt in my mind that with the people that I'm thinking of right now, that I outshine them in a lot of ways. And that's not me fucking being full of myself. That's just me knowing after 57 years what happens when I walk into a room, the people that I know and how people react to me, that I would be a brighter light than either one of these two people. And especially for one of them, that was very fucking threatening to that person, and they didn't know how to handle it. So the only way they could handle it was by telling me that I was a hysterical broad and I needed to sit down and shut up. Karen says, I respectively disagree. I believe calling them out is feeding the wolf. Better to breed them out by starving them. Well, that works for you, and I'm glad that it works for you. But for me, it doesn't do anything for me. It just fucks with my insides and makes me feel like shit. I really feel like I have to say something, and only just one time. You know what I mean? Like, I might dick with somebody I shouldn't dick with for a really long time and keep bringing them in and out of my life, which I'm really trying to stop that. That's one thing where when I say those words and I know that I need to not do that anymore, that I feel like I can pretty much put that aside and not have to keep yanking people back into my life to be friends with them, but to actually look at them and go, hey, I just want you to know, and I don't give a shit if you agree or not with what I'm about to tell you, but you need to know why I'm putting this distance between us. You need to understand that what you've done, and I don't care if you agree with it or not, is X, and then tell them why, and then put the fucking wall back up and move away from it. You know what I mean? That's how I feel I need to do things. Casey says, or downplay your success or excitement. That's true. And Casey also says, but expect a fucking parade for every little thing. They do. And thanks for saying I'm 100% right there on that case. Laura says, if you don't call them out, oh shit, I'm trying to read that. If you don't call them out, you're allowing them to control by ignoring it. A narcissist, of course, will try to continue to turn it around on you no matter what. But by standing your ground, you're in control of yourself, and they can't even stand it and will eventually back down, most likely leave your life. But did you really need that? Again, it comes to letting go. And that's really what I want to do, but I really want to be able to say what I need to say so that I can go, because I don't feel like you get closure that way. You don't get closure, especially when you were really intimately involved with that person. I can't. It's just not who I am. I'm not built that way, and I accept that about who I am today. Maybe that'll change in 6 months, because the part where the Kundalini really cleaned up my whole idea of going, yeah, I don't need to reintroduce every person that says they're sorry to me back into my life. But what the Kundalini hasn't changed yet in me, and maybe that's a lesson for later, is I need to say what I need to say before it's over, or I don't, maybe, and then I'm sure that has to do with my mother always needing to have the last word in an argument. You could never say fine, because then she'd have to say something else. And then if I'd say fine, she'd have to say something else. It couldn't just be, let me fucking say something and be done with it, which is where I feel like I need to go at this moment. A narcissist absolutely hates it whenever they find someone or something that is just far beyond their league and know it's going to drive them crazy, thinking about how much that specific thing is going to gain that much more attention than them. And then they'll seek out ways to fuck you, like hurt you on some really fundamentally important part of your life. They are going to look for that. And because they're so intelligent and because they're so articulate and because they have so much control over the people that are closest to them that don't see them as that thing, family members, really close friends, fucking followers that just want some scraps from their table, they're effective. And they can hurt you. They can hurt you really bad. So that's a good reason not to let them back in, because you know it's going to ultimately happen again. And narcissists seek out other narcissists so they can run in packs and go after people that way. It's an amazing thing when you step out of the circle and you look back at it and you see it, you're like, ooh, shit, you know? But again, they're gregarious, they're bright, they're funny, they're charming. So of course you love them, and then you start to think to yourself, well, what is wrong? If they're all of those things, what is wrong with me? And then they know that that's what you're thinking, and then the gaslighting begins. And that makes it 100% even worse and harder to take that step back, because then you start to... Last night I thought about my ex-husband, who has been dead for 17 fucking years, and thought back on things that he said and did to me and wondered, was I a shithead? When I know that that's not the case. This man raped me. This man pulled wires out of my fucking car so I couldn't leave, turned off my bank cards, turned off my cell phone, did all kinds of things when we would have fights. The last time that I finally was able to get up the strength to walk out of that relationship and take my kid, he had no idea I was going. I had to wait for him to go to work and quickly pack my shit up and my kid and leave so that he had to come home and find me gone. That was the only way I could do it, because every time I had ever tried to go before, he had thwarted the ability for me to do that. And then got everybody. There are people in Orlando that I was good friends with, that I went to church with, that only saw me, that were Stephen's teachers and shit, that only ever saw me, never saw Jim, and thought that I was the one that was causing all the problems, and would call the cops on me when I come to pick my kid up from school. They'd never seen my husband, but they believe what he told them. I mean, they are master fucking manipulators. And look I'm 17 years away from his death, and I went, did I do something wrong? Still. It's fucking ridiculous what you do and how you give them a pass. Number 6 is that they over-exaggerate their accomplishments. Above all else, narcissists will always boast about themselves as if they wore the crown jewels. A narcissist will not let down any opportune moment for them to speak highly of themselves to others. It's all about false validation. They will do absolutely everything and anything to obtain it, especially if you're meeting this person for the first time. Since you are a clean slate, this means that they can talk about every false little achievement they've made in their life up until that point. If you're lucky, you might even get a chance to speak. So next time you think you or someone you might know is dealing with a narcissist, try to keep these 6 things in mind. They will make themselves very obvious, and you will know the truth sooner rather than later. So, yeah, I got to keep all that in mind if I encounter that stuff at any point, because it's really hard for me, because the love boner sometimes outshines that justice boner, and gives somebody a pass, because I always want people to give me a pass. Give me the benefit of the doubt. Forgive me. Don't throw me away. That's such a part of who I am that I don't want to do it to somebody else, because I don't want them to experience the pain that I experienced when I was thrown away. And so it almost... it's terrible. It's terrible that I need to figure out how to forgive myself for feeling like people threw me away, or forgive other people for throwing me away, and my family, and not having my back, my parents, my cousins, whatever. I can't control what they did. I can't go back in time and make them see things differently. And I'm for sure not going to be able to do that with the narcissist. And I don't deserve to have them in my life, and they don't deserve my love. It's just, what are you going to do? You're just who you are. So for me, saying that last little thing and moving on with my life is probably the best thing that I can do, because I have to do that. And, that's part of the whole process too, in the 12 steps, is writing the shit out. the making your amends. And I don't think that making amends is always about saying, I'm sorry. Sometimes making those amends are, I'm sorry that I put myself in your path and let you do the shit that you did to me for as long as I did, because if I had shut it down sooner, I wouldn't be hurt right now. And we wouldn't even be having this conversation, because you'd be a blip on my radar. And when I ran into you, I could tip my hat to you, say, good day, sir, and keep on walking. But right now, I've opened the doors to that, and I'm still hurting, and I need to fucking articulate that shit to you. But maybe that doesn't work for everybody, but it does for me. Casey says, and they control their story. They only tell you the very cultivated details. Yes, and they tell you partial truths. They tell you partial truths to their story and leave out the shit that makes them look like crap. That's the saddest part. When I tell my story, I throw everything in there. All of it. The good, the bad, the fucking neutral shit, because I don't want you to make a judgment about who I am without knowing what I did. You know, when my first husband and I split up, my husband's best friend, who was also our best man in our wedding, called me up and said, I don't want to hear his side of the story, because I know what he's telling me only talks about you. He's not saying one fucking thing. Well, wait a minute. That's not how it really went. It's been a long time. He called me up and he said, I want to know what happened. And I told him the story, and I told him how we ended up introducing other people into our marriage sexually. And and I told him how it happened, that I had told him a story about my bisexual tendencies and how he wanted to see those things acted out in front of him, and how he became obsessed with those things. And because, I mean, it's one thing to fool around and have sex with other people, but it's a whole nother thing when your whole life revolves around it. I mean, it was like coming home from work. He wanted to know how many people I had contacted, who was coming over that weekend, did I make any dates with anybody, all of it, until I couldn't take it anymore and I had to go. And I told my friend, you know, this is what I did, and yeah, that's my part in it. And he said that he believed my version of the story because I didn't make myself look good. I told the fucking truth. So when I listen to people tell me stories anymore, especially if it's about something where there was a problem between them and somebody else and I was friends with everybody in that situation, if somebody makes themselves out to be a fucking saint, I think they're lying to me. Pretty sure that's probably what's happening. So, love a narcissist, tell them how you feel and move the fuck on. Don't tell them how you feel and move the fuck on, however it works for you. But just know that the sooner you deal, the better things will be. Peace. I got to go exercise, dudes, because I got to take Leon to the doctor. Y'all have a good day. See you tomorrow.